Hi guys, welcome to the Sleepy Scientist. Tonight, wherever you are, whether curled under blankets, resting on a quiet couch, or drifting in your own soft corner of the world, I invite you to slow down with me. Let your breath settle, your thoughts soften, and your body release the weight of the day. From whatever city or sky you're watching, know this space is for you. Together, we'll take a calming, poetic journey through the science of space traveler, bedtime story not of fantasy, but of real stars, gentle engines, and quiet wonders. So close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let's begin. You lie back in the quiet cradle of your spacecraft, the straps holding you gently as soft lights pulse around you like the slow rhythm of a resting heartbeat. Outside, the Earth waits in silence, wrapped in a hush that feels sacred, as if the world itself is pausing to witness your first step beyond its sky. The countdown doesn't thunderate echoes inside you, a calm and steady beat that matches the rise and fall of your breath. As engines ignite, there is no chaos, only a smooth, rising pressure, like a deep inhale that lifts you toward the stars. Clouds slide past like drawn curtains, revealing the darkening blue of the upper sky, then the velvet black of space. Gravity loosens its grip, not with struggle, but with a slow, forgiving release, and your body begins to float, not falling, not flying, just gently suspended in something vast and unknown. The Earth curves below like a sleeping companion, familiar and small. You are no longer on it, but not yet far from it, resting in the in-between. And as you watch the planet fade into distance, a quiet thought begins to glow inside you. If leaving feels this peaceful, what quiet wonders might lie ahead, waiting in the dark? You drift, not because you are lost, but because space has made room for you. The pull of gravity still lingers, it has not disappeared, only reshaped itself. Instead of tugging you downward, it cradles you in a perfect fall that never ends. You are in orbit now, and to orbit is to fall sideways at just the right speed. You move fast, nearly 8 kilometers every second, yet there is no rush, no wind, no sound, just motion wrapped in silence. Your body begins to notice the change. Muscles that once fought the ground now relax. Your spine lengthens, no longer compressed by the weight of the world. Your legs, unsure of what to hold, float gently behind you. There is no up or down, only out. The walls of your capsule no longer orient you. Instead, your sense of direction is governed by where your eyes rest and where your thoughts choose to go. Through the small circular window, the Earth unfolds beneath you. It spins slowly, a swirl of white and blue and soft brown, like cream stirred gently into tea. Clouds move in grand spirals across the oceans, hinting at storms that rage unseen. From here, lightning is only a flicker, thunder a forgotten thing. You see continents not as countries, but as shape, sentient, worn, and beautiful. The edge of the planet is a glowing line, sharp yet soft, where sunlight bleeds into space like the faint rim of a candle's halo. Every 90 minutes, the sun rises again, then sets, then rises once more. It's not the day you once knew, it's a faster rhythm, like breathing in double time. With each cycle, the Earth darkens and glows, sleeps and wakes, turns and turns. And as it turns, you begin to feel turned by time, by movement, by thought. You realize that in orbit, change is constant, but gentle. Weightlessness wraps around you like warm water. You float through the cabin with a touch, a glide, a push from the fingertips. Objects hang mid-air, loyal to nothing but their own stillness. A pen floats beside you. A drop of water spins in place, a perfect sphere that holds reflections of your face. Even breath feels different, deeper, quieter, as though your lungs are learning a slower pace. The science of orbit is invisible, yet always present. You are balanced between gravity and inertia, pulled inward while moving forward. It is this balance that keeps you here, not above the earth, but around it. You do not escape gravity, you cooperate with it. Like a dancer spinning just fast enough not to fall, you and the planet move together in a long, continuous waltz. Your heart adjusts. Your blood shifts. At first, you feel it gather in your face, in your chest. But slowly, your body finds a new equilibrium. Astronauts call it fluid redistribution, but here it feels like realignment, like your body becoming part of a new world. You are not broken by this change. You are softened by it. Food floats too. You sip rather than bite, draw from pouches instead of plates. Each meal is a quiet ritual. There is no clatter of dishes, only the gentle squeeze of nourishment through a straw. Sleep comes in waves. You close your eyes and drift not into beds but into bags that tether you to walls, to prevent your body from wandering. And still, even restrained, you dream of drifting. There is something humbling about this place. Earth is your origin, your anchor, but here in orbit, you are neither fully of the Earth nor fully apart from it. You are in-betweener, bridge between what was and what could be. Space does not push you away, it makes space for you. In the silence, in the floating, in the rhythm of motion, you find a new kind of belonging. You speak less. There is no need to fill the quiet. Words come slower, more deliberately. You watch your crewmates drift past like thoughts moving through a peaceful mind. Laughter is softer, movement smoother. Even emotions feel lighter here, as if gravity had weighed them down all along. From time to time, you place your hand on the window and trace the curve of the earth. You feel no cold, no heat, just a closeness that travels across distance. Home is far, but not gone. It circles beneath you, turning slowly like a lullaby remembered. And even in the vastness of space, you are held not by hands, but by motion, by physics, by grace. You begin to wonder if you can live like this. Floating in balance with invisible forces, what else might be possible? If stillness can come from motion, and weightlessness from harmony, could travel itself become a kind of peace? You drift through space, not on a trail of fire, but on a stream of light too faint to feel. Behind you, the engine hums in tones softer than sleep along, low exhale of charged particles. This is ion propulsion, a whisper compared to the roar of launch, a steady sigh rather than a shout. Here, motion is not about speed, but persistence. Tiny ion atoms of gas stripped of their electrons, flung gently from the back of your craft, one by one, like sand tossed into an endless wind. Each particle is nearly weightless, each push almost imperceptible. But in space, even the softest breath moves mountains over time. You travel not with sudden bursts, but with constancy, a smooth unfolding of distance. Ion engines do not chase speed, they court endurance. Their strength lies in repetition, in the discipline of the smallest effort repeated endlessly. The ions are accelerated by electric fields, invisible currents that shape and release them. There is no explosion, no fire, just precision and grace. It is the difference between running and gliding, between a storm and a breeze. Your ship does not leap, leans forward gently, always forward, always onward. At first, you wonder if you're moving at all. There is no sensation, no lurch. But over days and weeks, the stars shift their positions, subtly, undeniably. Velocity gathers slowly here, like snow on a branch, delicate and sure. You begin to understand a new kind of momentum, one that is not about force, but about faith, in what cannot be seen. You are learning to trust the invisible, to believe that effort can be quiet and still effective. Outside the window, ions glow faintly blue as they slip away, each one carrying a piece of your journey with it. They are silent couriers of progress, and you watch them with a kind of reverence. Even sound seems to bow to them. You float in the hush, not alone, but accompanied by this constant, loyal breath of your ship. There is something deeply human in this slow propulsion, something familiar in its patience. It reminds you of how trees grow, or how oceans rise, or how the body heals not in loud moments, but in long, deliberate ones. You begin to feel this rhythm in yourself. Your thoughts slow, your breath evens. You are no longer eager to arrive. You are content to continue. Even the stars, once sharp, begin to blur into soft halos through your window, and you realize that time itself has become a companion rather than a constraint. Your ship, with its quiet engine, teaches you that moving forward does not always require noise. Sometimes, the most powerful journeys are the ones that happen slowly, gently, without announcement. You begin to let go of urgency. You begin to listen for the quiet things. And just as this thought settles in you, this feeling that maybe slow is not small, that maybe silence is not empty. Notice something new on your display. The distant pull of your next destination. Faint but steady, it calls not with sound, but with gravity. You are still far, but not lost. Your course is true, and somewhere in the dark ahead, a question forms like a star not yet born. What would it feel like to sleep through centuries, while your ship remembers the way? You are floating still, but now even motion prepares to rest. The ship around you hums in low tones, not the sound of engines, but of life being carefully held. Lights dim to a twilight glow, systems slow to conserve, and you feel the shift, like a deep inhale before a long, suspended breath. Hibernation is not escaped, is a pact with time. You are not pausing the journey. You are simply choosing to experience it differently. In space, where destinations lie across years, sleep becomes the most efficient way to travel. But this is not the sleep you know from Earth. This is deeper, more deliberate, more like stepping into still water and letting it close gently over you. Medical monitors nestle quietly against your skin. Cooling units begin to lower your core. Temperature, just slightly, just enough to convince your cells to slow down. Your pulse eases. Your breath stretches into longer, quieter rhythms. The body responds with trust. It knows how to rest when asked kindly. The science of this is precise, but the feeling is soft. Cryogenic stasis, or torpor, as scientists call. It is a process drawn from nature's own instincts. Bears, frogs, even certain fish know how to slow themselves to survive the long winters. You are borrowing that wisdom. Your metabolism sinks like a pebble in still water, dropping to a level where nourishment can be delivered slowly, gently, by small tubes. Muscles are supported, bones are kept stable, and your mind begins to drift not into dreams exactly, but into a space where thought loosens its grip. There are no days to mark, no clocks to check. Time becomes a background hum. You do not lose yourself. You simply float inward. Your hibernation pod is not cold, not harsh. It is shaped like comfort. Its sides are curved to cradle you, its systems, designed to keep your body suspended in balance. Every breath you take is measured, protected. The air you inhale is just enough. The light you see is not blinding, but muted like dusk through leaves. You feel neither hunger nor thirst. The body forgets such needs when given the proper care, and as your consciousness fades to a quiet hum, a part of you remains aware, not awake, but not gone either. It is like watching your own thoughts from across a river. You are not alone. Other crew members sleep beside you, each in their own pod, each wrapped in silence. There is a stillness in the ship now, like a forest under snow. The engines maintain course. The navigation systems continue their watch. But the noise of waking life has faded. Your ship becomes a drifting cathedral of breath and starlight. And in that hush, something sacred stirs. Perhaps it is the body, remembering how to trust, or the mind remembering how to rest. Or perhaps it is just the space itself, so vast and so quiet, lending you a piece of its patience. There is beauty in this surrender. You are not resisting the journey, you are becoming part of it. You sleep not to avoid the distance, but to match its rhythm. Years may pass, perhaps decades, while your body lies still, but time moves differently. Now, it stretches and folds, not like a road, but like a lullaby. You do not dream of Earth. You do not dream of arrival. You float in something quieter than thought, deeper than memory. And all the while, the ship carries you forward, star by star, moment by moment. Somewhere in your sleep, you remember being awake, the feeling of orbit, the soft blue edge of Earth, the whisper of ion propulsion. They are not clear images anymore, but they warm you in the cold of distance. They remind you that you are still. You, still here, still moving, even when you do not feel it. And then, far ahead, beyond even the reach of your dreams, something stirs. It is not sound, not light, just the smallest change in paterna, shift in temperature, a whisper in the air systems, a light pulsing 1 degree brighter. Your body does not respond at first. It waits, patient. And then, as the ship reaches its marker, its planned moment of waking, your systems begin to gently rouse you. Warmth returns, slowly. Muscles reawaken, stretching like branches touched. By spring, your heartbeat grows louder in your chest. Eyes open, light expands. You have not moved in all this time, but you are further than you've ever been. And now, with breath fresh in your lungs and thoughts slowly returning to form, you feel the next part of the journey waiting. You are awake, and ahead of you, life is stirring in ways you've never imagined. You blink, still drowsy, and see green faint leaves, drifting stems, and soft artificial sunlight. A garden grows in space, waiting for you to walk through it. You open your eyes not to a sunrise, but to a gentle, golden glow, kind designed to feel like morning. It hums overhead, soft and warm, as if the ship itself is glad to see you return. You rise slowly, your limbs reacquainting themselves with movement. Not all at once. First your fingers, then your shoulders, then your breath, full and slow, like a tide returning to a quiet shore. Around you, the hum of life resumes. Not loud, not sudden, just enough to remind you, you are still traveling, still cradled in the arc of distance, and ahead of you, something green waits. You float toward the garden, led by memory and soft lights lining the corridor. It isn't far. Nothing is far here. You drift through the doorway and pause not because you have to, but because something inside you does. It is a place of stillness made living. Transparent walls hold in the warmth and the moisture. Rows of plants, lettuce, basil, dwarf tomatoes grow from trays suspended in silence. There is no soil here, only water, light, and care. The roots, white and reaching, float in nutrient mist, stretching toward artificial gravity spun gently by rotating rings. This is hydroponics. This is aeroponics. But mostly, this is patience. You reach out and brush your fingers against a leaf. It yields, bends, then floats back to form. There is something deeply grounding about green in space. Something ancient. Photosynthesis continues, unchanged by the lack of soil or sky. Light strikes chlorophyll. Energy is made. Carbon is transformed. It is a quiet alchemy, a ritual repeated millions of times a day on Earth and now, here, in this orbit of new life. You watch a bead of water cling to a stem, shimmer, then drift away. Even thirst behaves differently here. You begin your work, not hurried, not timed. The plants tell you what they need. Some are clipped, others are rotated. You check their roots, adjust the misting cycles, whisper reassurances you don't know you're saying. Gardening in space is not about command. It is about listening. These plants do not grow despite their environment. They grow with it, responding to rhythms you've helped create: light cycles, temperature ranges, artificial gravity. And in return, they offer sustenance, not just for your body, but for your sense of continuity. Outside the walls of this small garden, the universe expands. Stars drift in cold silence. Cosmic rays whisper by. But here, inside, life moves in. Circles, small, faithful circles of photosynthesis and respiration. You breathe out carbon dioxide. The plants breathe it in. They offer oxygen back, and the cycle begins again. You are not alone. You are part of this loop. There is something holy in that. It is not perfect. Sometimes leaves wilt, sometimes roots tangle, but even that feels honest. Growth does not need to be flawless to be beautiful. The garden teaches you this with every day that passes, not in weeks or months, but in rotations and regrowth, in small sprouts that become stems, then fruit, in compost that nourishes new seeds. Nothing is wasted. Even mistakes return to the soil, even if that soil is water and air and care. You float beside a row of dwarf peppers and remember earth not. The noise, not the buildings, but the scent of a garden after rain, the warmth of soil between your fingers. This garden is not earth, but it carries earth's memory. And in that memory, you feel held. You are not recreating nature. You are extending it, continuing its story, leaf by floating leaf. And still, the science hums beneath it all. Sensors track humidity. Artificial lights mimic the spectrum of sunrise. Rotational speed creates a fraction of gravity, just enough to anchor roots without breaking their search. These are not guesses. They are engineered symphonies, designed ecosystems, balanced by feedback and adaptation. You realize that the garden is not just surviving, is evolving just like you. There's comfort in this partnership. You grow as the plants grow, not outward, but inward. You become more attentive, more tuned to subtlety. You learn the color of thirst, the weight of new leaves, the soft shiver of too much light. And in these lessons, you begin to remember that growth, in any form, is an act of hope. Later, you harvest a handful of fresh leaves. You taste them slowly, reverently. There is no seasoning, no dressing, just the honest green of something that lived because you watched over it. It tastes like continuity. It tastes like beginning again. And as you eat, you smile not for what you've grown, but for what has grown in you. Outside, stars still wait. They do not hurry. They do not blink. But your ship continues forward, just as the plants continue upward, just as you continue inward. And somewhere, ahead of all this green and golden breath, another kind of light begins to stir. Light surrounds you in space, but here not all of it glows with comfort. Some light is old, ancient, formed in the hearts of stars and scattered across the galaxy like seeds on the wind. Some is wild, energetic, unseen. You cannot feel it on your skin or hear it with your ears, yet it passes through you, silently, constantly. It is radiation, not a beam or a flash, but a mist of particles and waves. Gamma rays, X-rays, high-speed protons from distant supernova. These are the whispering visitors that brush your body every day in orbit. Reminders that space is beautiful, but not gentle. Your ship is a shield, not perfect, but protective. Its walls are layered with materials chosen for their ability to absorb or deflect this invisible tide. Polyethylene, aluminum, even water tanks, each one plays a role in softening the storm. The sleeping quarters are tucked into the safest part of the vessel, where the exposure is lowest. Around you, sensors flicker and log, counting every passing particle, translating silence into numbers. But numbers don't feel. You do. And so, you listen in other ways. You feel it in the rituals. You take supplements to protect your cells. You monitor your blood for shifts too small to see. You move through your tasks with gentle awareness, knowing that protection is not armor, it is rhythm. You don't fight radiation. You flow around it, through it, with it. There is wisdom in this. Even the earth, in its quiet generosity, wraps itself in a magnetic field to protect the life it loves. You do the same in smaller ways. And yet, there is awe in this invisible ocean. The very particles that challenge you also connect you to the stars. Every cosmic ray carries a story from light years away, a particle flung by an exploding sun, traveling across vast darkness to brush your cheek. It is science, it is danger, but it is also intimacy. You are being touched by the universe, by events too big to comprehend, too fast to stop. And somehow, your fragile body, wrapped in thin layers of craft and care, continues to float forward. You remember Earth's shield, the magnetosphere, the atmosphere, how easily it wrapped you in safety, like a blanket you never knew you wore. In space, you understand its value. Without it, you must become your own shelter. You begin to cherish every shield, every protocol, not as burdens, but as love letters from engineers, from Earth, from everyone who sent you here with hope. There are bursts, sometimes solar flares from our own sun. You cannot see them coming, but your instruments do. When they arrive, your ship shifts. Lights dim, systems prioritize. You move to the storm shelter, an area layered with water and dense material. You wait, you breathe, you listen to the hush of containment. Outside, particles stream like wind through trees you cannot see, and you feel, not fear, but reverence. You are watching a star speak, even if it speaks in silence. The human body is strong, more adaptable than we give it credit for. It adjusts. Repairs learn still, You treat it kindly. You drink water. You rest. You rotate your routines to give your cells time to breathe, to rebuild. Your mind adapts to anxiety, gives way to awareness. Awareness becomes understanding. Understanding turns into trust, not blind, but earned. You are not unprotected. You are prepared. Sometimes, when you float near the viewing port at night, you see faint flashes inside your eyes, not outside, but deep within. These are cosmic rays, triggering your retina directly. No telescope, no lens, just your body reacting to particles. Traveling through it, they appear like stars blinking behind closed eyelids. A secret light show meant only for you. You smile. Not everything unseen is dangerous. Some of it is wonder. And so you learn. To live with the light you cannot see. To trust the shields you maintain. To balance respect with curiosity. You begin to understand that space does not apologize for its harshness. It simply offers itself fully. It is our job to meet it with humility and care. Radiation is not a warning. It is a reminder that even beauty has teeth, that even silence has movement, that even the void is never truly empty. You tend to your systems one last time before sleep. Calibrate the dosimeters. Check the shelter supplies. Review tomorrow's path through the sun's wind. It becomes routine, not mechanical, but mindful. Each act says, I am here. I am watching. I am part of this. And then, as you drift again toward rest, you notice something soft on your console. Screen, a flight update. Your trajectory will pass through a narrow zone, a place where space-time behaves unusually. Not a danger, just different. A region of warped coordinates, bent ever so slightly by the presence of gravity from long ago. The math is sound, but something about it stirs your thoughts. Space, it seems, is not always what it appears. Space feels endless, wide as sleep, deep as silence, but now you are asked to imagine something stranger. Not moving through space, but reshaping it. Not pushing forward, but pulling the destination closer. You lie still, eyes tracing the ceiling of your cabin, and somewhere in that quiet, the concept of a warp bubble begins to unfold. It is not science fiction. Here it is theory, bold and serious, the kind that uses equations to dream. You picture space not as emptiness, but as something textured, stretchable, like fabric held taut. What if, instead of racing through the cloth, you could fold it, pinch 2 points together, and let the ship sit still while space itself shifts? The mind resists at first. The body stays quiet, but the thought lingers. Outside the window, stars drift at their usual pace, seemingly unchanged. But within the ship's navigation logs, you read simulations that hint at this possibility. Warp travel. The idea comes from general relativity, Einstein's graceful explanation that space and time are one. Where there is mass, space bends. Where there is energy, time dilates. Gravity, then, is not a force, but a curve. And if you can understand the curves, perhaps, in time, you can shape them. Your ship doesn't have a warp drive. Not yet. But the sensors are designed to monitor subtle distortions, ripples, that might suggest that the universe, too, breathes in ways we've not yet fully heard. The Alcubierre drive, you recall, is the name of one such model, a ring of exotic matter, not yet made, only imagined, would compress space ahead of the vessel and expand it behind. The ship would ride the wave like a raft on a current. No speed limits broken, no laws ignored, just movement without motion. And yet, here you are, drifting slowly, patiently. Ion propulsion still sings its quiet tune, but your mind steps ahead, walking down pathways lit by theoretical stars. It is not impatience that carries you, there it is wonder. Even as you float, the universe expands, and ideas stretch alongside it. The fabric of space is not still. It has texture, history, memory. You wonder, if you could touch it, would it feel cool? Would it shimmer? Time, too, folds in strange ways. Here you know that clocks tick differently depending on speed, on gravity, on proximity to mass. On Earth, time is a metronome. In space, it is a fluid. It drips, it pulls, it rushes forward in currents. You imagine that one day, with enough understanding, time itself might become something navigated, not escaped, but shaped. Like a river redirected to feed a quiet garden. You think about how the ancients looked to the stars and imagined gods. Then gods became planets, and planets became paths. Now, paths become curves in a multidimensional map we are just beginning to draw. You are not chasing fantasy. You are watching science take its first poetic steps into possibility. And somehow, this feels more intimate than myth, because it is built from curiosity, not magic. Even in theory, there are limits. Energy requirements too vast to harness. Materials not yet discovered. Risks we cannot yet predict. But space has always required patience. Even your journey now, slow and methodical, is part of that waiting. The seeds of future travel are planted in thoughts like these, in calm cabins, in long stretches of quiet, in minds drifting softly through what-ifs. The future does not begin in engines. It begins in moments like this. You close your eyes and imagine a ship that bends the silence ahead of it. No fire, no push, just space parting gently like tall grass. The ship nestled in its own bubble, untouched by friction or sound. Within that bubble, time remains unchanged. You could travel centuries in days, distances in thoughts. The mind calms at the idea, for the speed, but for the gentleness of it. A voyage not forced, but allowed. Even now, as your own ship moves steadily forward by more conventional means, you feel part of this future. Every journey prepares the way for the next. Every observation you make, every signal you gather, might become a step toward those folded horizons. In that sense, your quiet drift is no less profound than any leap. You are not waiting for warp. You are tending to its roots. Outside, the stars remain silent, but you no longer see them as fixed. Each one is a landmark in a shifting map, a marker in a fabric that curves and stretches, full of gravity and time and dreams. The ship hums around you. The present holds you gently, but your thoughts curl ahead, like fingers brushing the edge of what's to come. The hum of descent is quieter than you expect. It is not the roar of arrival, but the slow hush of surrender. Your vessel dips toward the planet's surface, its thrusters gently balancing speed with grace. Gravity returns, not as a forceful grip, but as a whisper, reminding you how it feels to belong somewhere. The craft rocks slightly, responding to winds you cannot hear and terrain you cannot yet see. You peer through the viewing screen. The sky is a muted bronze, streaked with dust and light. This is not Earth. This is something else, something waiting. As you land, the ground does not resist. It receives you with a soft sawdust curling upward like incense, rising in slow, deliberate spirals. You feel the contact not as impact, but as touch, a handshake, a greeting. The ship settles, legs adjusting to the unfamiliar soil. Inside, you prepare to step out, not quickly, not boldly, but gently, like entering someone else's dream. The air outside is thin, filtered, not made for your lungs. So you wear a suit that breathes for you. Each step into the airlock is slow, ritual-like. Your body is heavier now, but not by much. The gravity is different, less than Earth's, but more than space, enough to feel, not enough to burden. You push the outer hatch open, and light spills in, dim amber, dust soft. You step forward, your boot presses into the ground, and the dust parts for it. It floats upward, delayed, as if time moves differently here. Each footstep is deliberate, measured, not for stability, but for reverence. You are not walking for speed, you are walking to feel. And this world responds. The terrain is quiet, no rustling leaves, no insects, no water running over stone. Just wind brushing the distant hills and the faint echo of your own breath inside. Your helmet, you walk toward a rise. Each movement sends small clouds upward. The landscape is mostly flat, interrupted by scattered rock formations shaped by time and patience. The sky holds twin suns, low and soft, casting overlapping shadows that move with you like companions. There is beauty here, not the lush, loud beauty of Earth, but a still, thoughtful kind. The kind you don't see immediately, the kind that unfolds the longer you stay. You kneel and press your gloved hand to the ground. Beneath the dust, the soil is fine, almost silky. You take a small sample, sealing it in a capsule. But you know this world won't be understood through samples alone. You must listen, watch, be quiet long enough for it to speak. The sensors on your suit begin collecting data: temperature, air composition, trace gases, radiation levels, wind, speeds. Everything is logged, but you remain still. Not because of protocol, but because something inside you asks you to be. There is a feeling here, one you can't name. Not danger, not awe, something in between. The sensation of standing at the edge of a story just beginning. You look up. A pale moon rises on the horizon, though you cannot tell if it is rising or falling. Time has different manners here. Perhaps this world does not count time in hours, but in shadows, in wind shapes, in the slow erosion of stone. Your thoughts slow to match it. You breathe. You listen to the wind. It passes over your helmet like a distant voice. Not a sound, but a suggestion of sound. You wonder if, under different conditions, with a different atmosphere, this wind would carry song. You wonder if something beneath the soil once breathed, or still does. You remind yourself, you are not here to conquer or to name. You are here to witness. Far in the distance, your ship glows faintly in the amber light. A soft, silver curve against the brown landscape. It looks less like a machine and more like a pod, like something planted. And maybe it is. Maybe you are the seed it carries. Not to grow trees or cities, but to grow understanding, to grow questions. You collect more samples, more readings, but they feel like gestures in a larger conversation. The most important data is what you feel in your chest, the quiet weight of standing on unfamiliar ground, the humility of being small in a place that does not yet know you, the hope that somewhere, somehow, this moment matters, not because of what it proves, but because of how gently it began. As you return to the ship, dust trailing behind you like a veil, you look back one last time. The twin suns are lower now, Shadows stretch longer. The world seems unchanged, but you are not. A part of you has already settled into this soil. You are not just a visitor. You are a question left softly in the sand. The journey home begins, not with noise, but with light scattered, ancient, delicate. Outside your window, a comet slips through space like a thread of silver silk. It glows softly, not like a flame, but like memory itself. Its tail stretches. For thousands of kilometers, a cloud of ice and dust whispering across the void. Your ship adjusts course to follow part of its path, not for speed, but for sight. You are not in a hurry. You are here to remember. The engines hum gently, guiding your vessel through the edge of the comet's trail. Particles drift past like snow that never melts. You imagine each speck holding a story from before Earth was born, fragments of rock and ice untouched for billions of years. Some carry molecules, simple and ancient. Hydrogen, carbon, pieces of possibility. You watch them float by, and in their passing, you feel your thoughts begin to gather. Each moment of your journey returns now, softly, like leaves falling in still water. The liftoff, the orbit, the ion drift, the sleep, the first green leaf, the unseen radiation, the bent space, the dusty steps. They are all here, folded into your breath, into the gentle press of your body against the seat. You are not the same person who left Earth. You are quieter now, slower in thought, but not tired, just fuller. Your hands rest in your lap, no buttons to press, no emergencies to solve. The ship carries you, and you carry the weight of wonder not. Heavy, but sacred. Behind you lies an untouched world. Ahead, a familiar one. But for now, you are suspended between the two, traveling through memory, wrapped in stardust. The comet's particles glance off the ship's shielding, barely touching, barely seen. Yet they mark this passage like snowflakes brushing a window. Some burn away, some linger, and you think of how memory works much the same way. Some moments flare and vanish, others stay. You are learning to let them settle without forcing shape. You glance at the screen. Earth is still far, a faint pale point in a vast sea of dark. But it grows, slowly. And with each passing hour, more data flows. Through the ship, magnetospheric patterns, atmospheric readings, thermal projections. But you no longer need the numbers to feel it. You can sense it, like gravity's gentle reach, like a melody returning at the end of a long silence. You float through the cabin and pause by the observation window. The comet arcs wider now, curving. Away. You press your hand to the glass. Your reflection stares back, not older, exactly, but softened. Space does not wrinkle you. It rewrites you, smooths the noise, fills the gaps. You close your eyes and picture the comet continuing its orbit for centuries more. Never landing, only circling, a soft punctuation in the sentence of the solar system. You whisper thanks to the comet, to the dust, to the journey. The ship shifts, slightly as it aligns with Earth's pull. You feel the difference, not sharp, but certain. Home is no longer just a concept. It is a direction, a rhythm your body remembers. Muscles twitch with anticipation. Bones recall weight. The air tastes slightly different now. You begin recalibrating systems, adjusting routines, preparing to return, but your mind moves slower than your hands. It lingers in the trail of the comet. You think of what it means to go back, to step again into gravity, into sound, into crowds and oceans and voices. Will you miss this quiet? Will the sky feel too small? You do not dread it, but you do not rush toward it either. You let the approach unfold, like dusk, like music softening toward its final note. The navigation console lights up with re-entry. Sequences, you follow each one, calmly, precisely. This is not the end. It is a return, but not a return to what was. A return to what has been made more meaningful by leaving. You carry space within you, now not just the knowledge of it, but the feeling of it, the rhythm, the stillness, the stretch between stars. The ship curves gently, aligning with Earth's atmosphere. The heat shields prepare. The path is plotted. But before descent begins, you take one more glance through the window. The comet is behind you, now fainter, quieter, still drifting. You whisper to it one last time, though it does not hear. Not with ears, but perhaps with time. Re-entry begins with heat and hush. The ship tilts forward, gently at first, then with steady precision. Outside, the stars fade behind streaks of friction thin, fire tracing your return. The atmosphere greets you not with a wall, but with a warm resistance. The shield beneath you glows, protecting, parting the air. You feel your body pressed into the seat again, not harshly, but firmly, like a long embrace. Gravity, old and familiar, begins to gather you in. Your hands rest lightly on the armrests. You don't grip them. There is no fear. You have seen the silence between stars, and now you descend through layers of sky once taken for granted. The blues return gradually, first indigo, then cobalt, then soft, familiar. Clouds bloom again, like breath held in the lungs of the world. You pass through them slowly, letting them soften your descent. Below, the lights of cities begin to glow. They blink like fireflies, some steady, some flickering, as if the planet is lighting small candles to guide you home. Oceans shimmer with the last traces of sunset. Forests stretch like velvet blankets in green and shadow. You recognize none of it specifically, and all of it deeply. Earth, from above, feels more fragile now, more precious, not just a place to live, but a place that lives. The ship guides itself to the landing zone. It slows, aligns, steadies. Thrusters fire in short, measured bursts. You feel the final touches of technology smoothing the journey. Then, with a hush and a sigh, the vessel settles. A soft thump. Dust, silence. You have returned. But you do not rush to open the hatch. You sit for a moment longer, breathing the ship's familiar air, feeling its quiet hum. This place held you, cradled your questions, carried your sleep, remembered your rhythms. You place your palm on the wall, not as a goodbye, but as a thank you. The ship does not speak, but it has always listened. When you rise, gravity feels heavier than you remembered, not uncomfortable, just honest. Your muscles respond slowly, like waking animals. Your bones realign with the pull they once resisted. Your breath deepens. Earth's gravity is not just physical, it is emotional. It reminds you where you come from, what you carry. The hatch opens. Light pours, unreal, golden, uneven. Wind brushes your face with 1,000 tiny hands. Scent returns. Soil, air dot, distant rain. The sounds are everywhere, leaves rustling, birds in the distance. Your own footsteps pressing back into the world. Nothing is louder than space, and yet everything here feels more vivid. You walk forward slowly. No cameras, no crowds, just Earth and you reuniting. You touch the grass with a reverent hand. It bends, then rises again. You look up and see the sky without metal, without windows, and for a moment you miss the frame. But then you realize this sky was always enough. You close your eyes. Inside, the journey plays again, not like a slideshow, but like music. The liftoff, the orbit, the glow of ion streams, the hush of hibernation, the floating gardens, the invisible light, the warped silence, the dusty steps, the comet, and now, here, grounded, but not anchored. You have changed, and change, like orbit, has its own quiet gravity. Later, they will ask you what it felt like to be away, to return. You will search for words and find metaphors. You will speak of dust and light, of sleep and silence, of motion without movement. But inside, you will always know it differently, not in language, but in rhythm. You leave the landing site without urgency. The sky darkens behind you. Stars return. But now they are not far. They are near, within, part of your breath. You carry their stillness in your steps. You carry space with you, not as distance, but as depth. And as the first night closes around you, soft, cool, familiar, you do not mourn the journey's end. You understand now, some journeys do not finish. They fold into you and continue quietly with every breath you take.